Hi, I'm Ryan.Moseley with NP Dodge, and I'm here with Ed.
Ed Lopez, Artisan Roofing.
Ryan.Rourke, Farm Bureau Insurance.
And we thought that we would bring you a video just strictly about roofs, because filming today on April 23rd, in the past week, we've already had 2 significant hailstorms roll through the metro area. And looking at the forecast for the next 7 days, they're saying maybe another 2 to 3 strong systems coming through the area.
Yep.
So across the metro, we have lots of roofs that are being hit pretty hard, which is going to have an impact on buying and selling a home. You know, you could be in the middle of a contract on a home and all of a sudden a storm comes through and destroys the roof, and then you have to figure out how to deal with that. So we're going to talk a little bit about roofs. Ed's obviously our expert on the roofs, and Ryan's our expert on the insurance. So we want to bring some information to you, help educate you a little bit, because lots of things are changing in the insurance world when it comes to roofs. Ryan, you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on too. It's great to have a conversation with you today. As far as what we're seeing in the industry, what I'm seeing specifically, you're seeing a lot of carriers changing their how they pay out for their roof. Before, it was more of a replacement cost. In fact, some people almost called a home policy a roof policy, because that's how you got a new roof. Well, insurance companies are now looking at it in a little bit different perspective, at least in the state of Nebraska. They understand the biggest loss coming out of that right now is from those roofs. So a lot of insurance carriers have pivoted from replacement cost and are now just offering actual cash value on a roof.
To explain the difference.
Sure,
what that means, because a lot of people don't really know their policy.
Absolutely. And I mean, I always preface this that insurance is confusing. I swear it's meant to be confusing. So ask your agents and, have those conversations with folks. So replacement cost versus actual cash value. The best way I think I can explain it and keep it basic here is, let's say you have a total loss on the roof. God forbid something happens, you lose it all. If you are at actual cash value, the insurance company is just going to write you a check for what the roof is worth. If your replacement costs, they're going to write you a check for what it cost to replace the roof. The kind of difference there is on the actual cash value piece, they're just giving you the check and saying, all right, that's the value of it. Our ties are clean. Let us know when it's repaired. On replacement cost, they work with the roofing company on a bid. They have the labor included, and they work together to make you whole again. So the biggest kind of misconception right now is if you're getting a renewal and you're looking at it and you're like, wow, my home insurance isn't that expensive. That's great. I've heard other people are paying tons. Check for that actual cash value piece. I do a lot of quotes every day, and I would say about 50% of the carriers, and this is just an approximate, that I see have actual cash value or a roof schedule. A roof schedule might say that, hey, we'll still do it at replacement cost. Well, do it at 95% of replacement cost, because your roof may be 10, 12 years old.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, so if my roof is 15, 20 years old, am I going to get any cash value towards the new roof?
It depends on the carrier. It really is. And some carriers are better than others, for sure. Some of them will have up to 15 years on a roof for replacement coverage. Some only go 8. You're going to have to talk to your agent for sure. An inspection on the roof always helps too.
Right.
Yeah.
So Ed, I mean, you work with insurance companies a lot. Do you see a big difference between different carriers on what this coverage looks like and how the customer is able to become whole again versus left short? Do you see much variance in that?
Yeah, absolutely. The difference in carriers is some carriers will automatically omit things out of the policy. For instance, there is a carrier that will not cover metals. So you could have roof damage, but they're not going to cover any metals. So that means that the homeowner would have to come out of pocket for the metals, which the metals is usually the least expensive part of it. But it's still a cost out of pocket on top of their deductible. So there's also the insurance companies that will cover the metals only because there's not enough damage on the roof. They're requiring 15 to 20 strikes per square. So what that means in a 10 by 10 area, there has to be 15 to 20 strikes or 12 strikes, whatever they deem necessary for coverage. And they'll cover the metals because they're dented, but then they're not going to give us what is required to go 3 feet out on either side of the valleys or around a turtle vent or a turbine vent. So again, we either negotiate with the insurance companies to cover those areas, or it's an out-of-pocket expense. Okay, most times we're pretty successful on supplementation, where we'll send in an estimate saying we have to have had this, this, and this, these items to complete the roof properly, and they'll come back to us, and 90% of the time they'll come back and agree.
That's what I was going to ask you. So recently, just give a little context. I had a client who we sold our home. We were under contract for about a month and a half. During that time, there was an inspection done on the roof. The adjuster said, "Oh, it's sun blistering and people walking up here. The damage is not from hail, but these gutters over here have hail damage," that sort of thing. Do you see a lot of strategies from insurance companies to try not to cover these roofs when it's clearly, all her neighbors had a new roof from that storm last spring, but all of a sudden, they're trying to say hers did not have that damage? Do you see a lot of that going on now?
Yeah, there is a lot of that going on. And it's not from one specific carrier either. I mean, they're not in the market to lose money.
Right.
Right. And with all the catastrophic storms we've had down south through the Midwest, on the West Coast, they're trying to conserve as well. So, yes, they will come back and say, that's sun blistering. We can prove them different. Okay, we can tell them it's hail strikes. We can show them that there is delamination, there is granulation loss. It's all in the gutters. That's not from blistering. Okay, right. So there's things we can show them to help facilitate the homeowner getting their policy covered. So it's not as difficult as it may seem. There are some adjusters out there who get paid by what they don't approve, and there's adjusters out there that get paid on the amount they get approved. So it's kind of a guessing game. You get to know these adjusters after a while, because a lot of them show up at the same places.
Right. So either way, like if a consumer has somebody come out and the adjuster says there's no damage here, what do you tell them to do? Like, what's the next step?
The next step is what we do is we do a re-inspect of the roof. We ask for a re-inspect from the insurance company. If they say that no, we're not going to do re-inspect, then we will get a PI, which is a private inspection, and that gentleman works directly for himself, and he's not on either side.
Right.
He's just going to, and he may confirm, guys, this is not caused by a storm. In which case, we'll go to the homeowner. We'll let them know that, hey, you know what? Let's wait for a storm to come through, or if you really want to get this done, if they have leaking in the home, we want to get that secured. Okay. But we will work with them either way, to either wait or to go ahead and take care of it out of pocket.
So they have some things that they can do. They don't just have to accept no and move on.
Correct. That's correct.
Do you get many clients coming to you with that issue for Farm Bureau?
Yes and no. What I always tell my folks is that if there is an issue coming up with a roof, or any claim at all, call me first, and then let's talk it out. And then really, I have guys in my network like Ed and other people that I would refer out, and people you trust. It's a lot better than folks just dropping signs in yards in different places.
Yeah, from out of town. And
right. And
see a lot of those.
Exactly. A place like Artisan Roofs, they've been here for a long time. It's a trusted name. So in those type of situations where we've had maybe the insurance company saying, hey, this roof isn't good, or this roof is just fine, and vice versa, a lot of times we'll request a second adjuster to come out, and I have heard of an instance having a PI out there too. It's in my opinion, good nature to fight for all of that as hard as you can. Adjuster just might be on the roof having a bad day, seriously, and maybe he's not seeing what that person's supposed to see.
Right. And
then you got folks that work at Artisan Roofings that walk those roofs every day, and they're really fine-tuned what's happening. So I think there's a small component of a little bit of human nature there. I think the other thing is the insurance company also wants to pay for what they said they'd pay for, and nothing outside of that. So I will tell you, your agent and the folks you're working with are fighting to get every dime for you.
I want to ask you, Ed, about a couple of products that kind of came across one came through my Facebook feed. I won't say what the website was, but this product claimed that they show a video of a guy up there spraying something all over the roof and said, this is going to increase the life of your roof by 10 to 15 years. And I'm just, in my mind, I'm picturing, like, is he just spraying glue down all over the place, or what is he doing? Have you heard of this sort of product? Do you know anything about it?
I've heard of it. I don't know anybody personally that has used it. I'm skeptical about it for multiple reasons. One, it appears to me that what they're doing is, you're correct, a glue-type substance that's going to keep the granulars on the shingles longer. So I kind of liken it to what you can buy at a box store, where you spray it on your mulch or you spray it on your pebbles and it keeps them in place. Mm-hmm. It's got to be the same thing. My biggest concern is what it does to the warranty of the roof.
Okay.
It's a outside third-party spray that I'm sure is not endorsed by any of the roofing manufacturers. So I would be leery. I would do my homework before I did anything like that. Again, I only know what I have read, and I can't tell you that I would endorse it.
Okay, gotcha. The other thing that kind of came across my radar is someone I know they have a slate roof.
Yes.
And it's been damaged, it needs fixed, and they were told, well, you can't get slate roofs anymore. They're banned for asbestos or something. I don't remember what she said, but what are you familiar with there?
Well, two different types of roofs. So if it's a true slate roof, then it's stone. Mm-hmm. Okay. Generally, those do not mix with asbestos. So asbestos has a roof that looks like a slate roof. It's just panels that, no, we can't replace those. Okay. But the slate, from my understanding, from my last looking into it, they are available. They're costly. Mm-hmm. I know there's been some churches in town that have had their slate roofs repaired and replaced. So I know it's available, but it is very costly, and insurance companies are probably going to, and you can chime in on this as well, Ryan, but I think they're probably going to kind of steer you towards, yes, we'll pay for this roof, but you need to go with something a little more traditional. Yeah,
is there something comparable as far as durability?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. There's a company called Da Vinci that makes a slate roof. It's a synthetic composite. Mm-hmm. They also make a composite shingle. There's a company named Brava that makes those same products. They're very good. They're lifetime roofs like the slate would be, except they won't break like that.
So Ryan, if I invest in one of those roofs, is that going to knock my rates down?
Depends on specifically what the I would say the shingles life would be, because that's really what it boils down to in the insurance company is how long is it going to take me to replace and how much is it going to cost me to do that. A lot of times, what at least with my company we rate for what you have on the roof. Mm-hmm. So with the understanding that if that roof needs to get replaced, that's what we're going to rate. So we would rate a slate roof.
Okay.
So I actually don't know if it'd be more expensive or not. I haven't rated a whole lot of those.
But if I'm living in a home for 5 years, it's probably not worth the investment to upgrade to a slate roof.
If you're living in it for 5 years,
if I'm only going to live there for 5 years, do I want to rip off my traditional shingles and put on slate just because it's going to last longer?
It could be a selling point for the buyer. If I were going to stay there 5 years, no, I'd just make sure it's secure.
Yeah.
I would go by what the rest of the neighborhood's doing, and
That's right.
So.
Yep. Do you have anything else you guys want to add? Jump in here before we wrap it up.
Just if you do happen to have a bad day and you get hit by some bad weather, call your agent, call your roof guy, talk to those people. Don't just take the first thing that comes across your plate. Mm-hmm. Talk to your agent, because your agent actually will help you pivot and move through the claims process, or at least I would. Talk to your roof person, because they'll actually help to work with your agent insurance company to pivot through that process to make it easier for you at the end of the day. That's really my big thing.
And I would say even before you get to that point, maybe figure out if your insurance is paying actual cash value versus replacement cost.
100%. I actually had a conversation with a guy just yesterday, and his insurance agent told him he was at replacement cost, and I then showed him his document that said actual cash value.
Now the documents is what matters, not.
Well, and I mean, just some folks don't know. I don't know why that got missed, but yeah, that he's got a huge hole in his coverage right now. $20,000 roof. I don't know what it's covered at, but it's not covered for 20.
And is that if somebody just wants to check in with you and see what their insurance is telling them, or I mean, can you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at what they got, and
that is actually something I pride myself on. I'm kind of a dork. I love looking at deck pages and kind of seeing where people land. And what I really pride myself is at the end of the day, I want to make sure there's no holes in your policy and you can sleep well at night when the worst happens. So more than happy to look at anybody's insurance for that.
Ed, you got anything you want to throw in there?
Maybe just to mirror what Ryan is saying is, yeah, do your due diligence, find out what coverage you actually have. Don't just sign a contract with anybody until you know what your coverage is. Call 2 or 3 different, roofing companies, and just because they're going to come in and say, we can hide your deductible somewhere, you can't do that.
Right.
Okay. Just, again, do your due diligence, know what your coverage is, and do your homework on the roofing company.
Okay.
Amen.
Yeah. So hopefully you learned something today. Hopefully you go out and just double check your coverage on your roof. Hopefully we don't get any more storms this year, but we're not on the right record so far for that. It's been a busy season already, and it's just mid-April. So thank you for watching, and share it out with some friends, and I'll put these guys' contact information down in the comments in case you want to ask them some questions. So thank you.
Thank you.